The top stories tonight in Y News. Malacanang urges local government units to pass an ordinance that will punish individuals involved in the sale of COVID-19 vaccine and slots, which is illegal.
The Philippines Department of Science and Technology will conduct a study on the effects of COVID-19 vaccines on fully vaccinated Filipinos.
Vaccines developed by Sinovac Biotech and Pfizer and BioNTech top a list of shots preferred by adults in the Philippines. An Indian couple holds their wedding mid-flight to escape COVID-19 restrictions.
Spain begins vaccinating homeless people.
And Google announces a health tool to identify skin conditions. Good evening, Philippines and the world. Today is Tuesday, May 25, 2021. I am William Theo.
Join us in the next hour as we deliver today's top stories around the country and in other parts of the world. I'm Angelo Castro III.
We are also seen in 1,935 satellite monitoring centers nationwide and via live streaming worldwide through the UNTV News and Rescue social media accounts and our website, untvweb.com. I am Hardin Delgado.
First in the news, Malacanang calls on local government units to pass an ordinance that will impose sanctions on sellers of COVID-19 vaccines and vaccine priority slots. Rosalie Cos explains why.
To ensure sanctions against those who take advantage of the COVID-19 pandemic by selling coronavirus vaccines as well as vaccine priority slots, Malacanang encourages local government units to enact an ordinance on this. Manila City Mayor Isko Moreno Dumagoso has signed a similar city ordinance effectively prohibiting the sale of COVID-19 vaccines amid reports of vaccine for sale schemes. Presidential spokesperson Harry Roque gave a stern warning against those who will violate the government's vaccination policy of equitable access to all.
Ang panawagan nga po namin sa mga lokal na pamahalaan kung po pwede po magpasa rin sila ng ordinansa na nagpapataw ng parusa doon sa magbebenta ng slots para malinaw po na meron tayong legal na basihan para parusahan ang mga taong gumagawa nito.
The Duterte administration also mentioned about charges such as swindling and violation of regulations of the Food and Drug Administration that can be filed against those involved in such money-making scheme.
Hindi natin papayagan yan. No, lahat yan ay kailangan mahuli at maparusahan dahil lahat ng bakuna ay libre.
The palace insisted no situation warrants the selling and buying of COVID-19 vaccines since no brand has been approved yet for commercial use authorization. Meanwhile, the Interagency Task Force Against COVID-19 has to discuss thoroughly and clarify the plan of the private sector to ask for reimbursements from relatives of employees already vaccinated for their vaccine slots. Rosalie Cos, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
Meanwhile, the Philippine National Police is looking into the alleged selling of COVID-19 vaccination slots online. But according to the PNP, there is a possibility that the scheme is politically motivated or is a form of an online scam. Leia Ilagan will tell us why.
Philippine National Police Chief Police General Guillermo Eleazar said that there is a possibility that the vaccine and vaccination slot for sale scheme may just be a scam targeting specific people. Eleazar said the PNP Anti-Cybercrime Group or ACG monitoring all media platforms did not find a public post offering vaccination slots. The modus operandi, the PNP chief said, is to send a private message to his target. They will also investigate if the incident is politically motivated.
Patuloy po ang isinasagawang investigasyon ng CIDG at ACG at lahat ng anggulo ay aming tinututukan kasama ng posibilidad na ito ay isang online scam lang o kaya ay politically motivated para siraan ang mga nabanggit na local government units.
The CIDG and ACG are still gathering information to know the truth behind the alleged vaccination slot for sale.
Hindi po titigil ang PNP para tugisin at mapanagot ang mga taong nasa likod nito.
The chief PNP urged the public to immediately report to authorities anyone selling vaccine or vaccination slots. Information or concerns may be relayed to the PNP through its Isumbong Complaint Monitoring and Referral System. Leia Ilagan, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
President Rodrigo Duterte's supposed public address tonight will be moved again to Wednesday. Presidential spokesperson Harry Roque explained that the president and his delegation have just returned to Manila after attending the Regional Peace Council meeting in Dumaguete City yesterday. President Duterte holds his Talk to the People address where he speaks about the government's COVID-19 response and other issues. The Philippines will conduct a real-world study into the effects of COVID-19 vaccines on Filipinos. Aiko Miguel will tell us why.
The Department of Science and Technology will choose 1,000 unvaccinated participants for the conduct of a real-world study on the efficacy of COVID-19 vaccines. According to DOSC Task Group on Vaccine Evaluation and Selection Chair Undersecretary Rowena Guevara, they will monitor the participants until they receive their COVID-19 shots. The study will take a year to review the effects of COVID-19 vaccines on Filipinos.
Real-world data, it will answer questions of the effect on the ethnicity kasi mga Pilipino na ngayon yung mga bakunado eh. That's one. And second, yung pinaka-importanteng masagot is ano yung efficacy niya over time. Kasi yun wala pang masyadong mga sagot dun sa tanong na yon dahil hindi pa tapos yung mga phase 3 clinical trials ng lahat ng bakuna na to. Lahat sila naka-EUA pa eh.
Undersecretary Guevara says they will start the study as soon as the protocols are finalized and approved by the Food and Drug Administration. Similar studies have been conducted in the United Kingdom, United States, Israel, Indonesia, and Chile. Meanwhile, a clinical trial for the mix and match of COVID-19 vaccines will also be conducted. About 100 million pesos is needed for the clinical trial for 1,600 participants. It will be held in trial sites across the National Capital Region, Cebu, and Davao. According to Undersecretary Guevara, they will monitor participants for 18 months. In the mix and match of COVID-19 vaccines, 2 different brands will be inoculated. The trial will also include the administration of a different COVID-19 vaccine brand that will serve as a booster shot for fully vaccinated individuals. The clinical trial aims to see the efficacy of combining different vaccine brands.
Bigla-bigla tayo nagkakaroon ng problem sa delay ng mga vaccine delivery. So we would like to answer this question na if there is a delay, pwede bang mag-mix and match para matuloy yung full dose ng mga na nagkaroon na ng first dose, mabigyan sila ng second dose kahit ibang brand. Yun yung masasagot na question nitong study natin.
Experts will also gather data on the effects of COVID-19 vaccines against various COVID-19 variants. The DOST is waiting for the approval from the Philippine FDA before they can start the trials. Aiko Miguel, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
The World Health Organization supports the non-disclosure of vaccine brands being implemented in the Philippines. However, the Global Health Agency does not consider the choosing of COVID-19 vaccine brands as vaccine hesitancy. Marvin Callas reports why.
Following the new policy directed by the Interagency Task Force, COVID-19 vaccine brands to be inoculated per individual are being disclosed only at the vaccination sites. Many says that non-disclosure of vaccine brands could affect the vaccine confidence of the Filipino people. But in contrary, World Health Organization Country Representative Rabindra Abyasinghe says only a handful of Filipinos are having vaccine hesitancy.
What we are seeing now is that people are eagerly waiting to receive vaccines, and it is in some situations local governments are unable to keep up with the demand. So it's not actually an issue of vaccine hesitancy. There may be in some places preference for brand A or B of a vaccine, that should not be interpreted as vaccine hesitancy.
WHO also supports the policy on the non-disclosure of vaccine brands to further entice Filipinos to get vaccinated no matter what brand is available. A recent social weather station or SWS survey shows that the majority of Filipinos still prefers the China-made COVID-19 vaccine Sinovac, followed by the US-made vaccine Pfizer-BioNTech. From a 1,200 respondents, 39% are favorable to have the Sinovac vaccine, while 32% prefers Pfizer. The news team tried to get some of the reactions from the public on what vaccine brands do they prefer. Here's what they say.
Kung sa akin ay Pfizer. Ang brand ng Pfizer maganda naman eh. Kaya yun ang pinag-iisipan ko na pipiliin ko para babakunahan din yung mga mahal ko sa buhay.
Pfizer po kasi yun yung may pinakamataas na efficacy.
Pfizer sa brand. Kasi siya yung sikat ngayon, parang siya yung ginagawa ng mga tao. Siya yung parang dinudumog kinikilala. Sa akin pa Pfizer brand.
Para sa akin po kung ano yung available, yung pinaka-available na present, yun po yung kuhanin natin. Kailangan ma-vaccinate as much as possible lahat ng population sa Pilipinas. Kung ano po yung nandyan, take it. Lahat naman po yan, will help us.
Meanwhile, although the Malacanang acknowledges the vaccine brand preference of the public, presidential spokesperson Harry Roque pointed out that vaccine supplies in the country is limited, thus encourages everyone to get vaccinated regardless of what vaccine brand is available.
Ang panawagan namin, meanwhile, nandyan na po yung mas nakakahawa at mas nakakamatay na mga new variants. So, bagamat meron tayong preference sa stateside, unahin man muna po natin ang ating mga buhay, ang ating buhay ng ating pamilya, ang ating komunidad, magpabakuna na po kung anong available.
Marvin Calas, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
Ongoing investigations conducted by the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention look into the reports that younger recipients may have developed heart inflammation after vaccination. Nina Bascon reports why.
Advisory group from the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention has recommended further study into a rare condition that affects younger vaccine recipients. After receiving COVID-19 vaccines, some young adults and teenagers have experienced heart inflammation. There were a few reported young vaccine recipients, mostly male, developing an inflammation of the heart muscle known as myocarditis. The CDC group stated that the condition can be caused by several viruses and often goes away without complication. However, committee members said they felt reports of the potential adverse event should have been made known to healthcare providers. Dr. Amesh Adalja, senior scholar at the Johns Hopkins Center for Health Security, said looking at the risk-benefit ratio is important, adding that the benefits of vaccines outweigh this questionable risk. No vaccine brand was specified, but only Moderna Incorporation and Pfizer-BioNTech were the only two mRNA vaccines that were given emergency authorization. Nina Bascon, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
For those watching us on YouTube, please click the subscribe button you see on your screen and ring the bell for notification. You may also follow us on Facebook. An economist believes that boosting the vaccination program in the Philippines is the key to economic recovery, which has been pounded by the quarantine restrictions due to the pandemic. Nel Maribohok explains why.
Mass vaccination would be the only way to bring economic recovery to the Philippines. According to Wilson Lee Flores, an economist, if there will be enough supply of vaccines this year, this may be the key to economic growth.
Naniniwala ako by second half ng 2021 itong taon na to, lalong gaganda ng gaganda ekonomiya natin. Number one, yung classification ng lockdown natin nagiging mas maluwag ng mas maluwag kasi yung mga bagong incidents ng mga COVID, bagong cases, kumukonte dahil sa disiplina natin saka ng gobyerno. Pero pinakamalaking rason na gaganda ekonomiya natin dahil ang dami ng darating na mga vaccines.
Also, Malacanang believes it is early to say that the country may not reach its gross domestic product growth rate this year.
Sana hindi naman po, no, dahil Mayo pa lang po, pwede pang mag-recover. Pero inaamin po talaga natin na nakakalungkot na dahil nga po sa pagpasok ng mga bagong variants, we've had to resort to MECQ na naging dahilan para masarado ang 60% ng ating ekonomiya, no, dito sa Metro Manila Plus.
This is the Palace official statement after think tank Moody's Analytics reported that the Philippines may reach only 5.3% growth this year, below the government's revised target of 6 to 7% GDP this year. Moody's Analytics blamed the Philippines' failure to curb the spread of COVID-19 virus. Despite the report, Malacanang is optimistic that the government remains on track to reach the GDP growth target of 6 to 7% this year. Nel Maribuho, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
A sponsor of the resolution that proposes economic amendments to the Constitution insists the necessity of passing the measure to help bring back the vigor of the Philippine economy battered by the pandemic. But a lawmaker fears that it might be a way of corruption. Ray Pelayo will tell us why.
The lawmakers in the House of Representatives started the period of sponsorship and debate in the plenary for the resolution of both houses number 2. It proposes amendments to Article 12, 14, and 16 of the 1987 Constitution, particularly in the participation and ownership of foreign investors to sectors like utilities, education, and mass media. Based on the existing law, foreign investments are limited to 40% only. The proposed amendments introduce the insertion of the phrase "unless otherwise provided by law." This would ultimately empower lawmakers to use legislation to lift the constitutional prohibitions on foreign investors.
Ngayon ho, lugmok na lugmok ang ating ekonomiya dala ng pandemya, and the best way to prepare our economy and introduce economic reform is now.
On Monday, Gabriela Party List Representative Arlene Rosas pointed out that the amendment might be a way for corruption.
Ang Kongreso po ang magkakaroon ng eksklusibong kapangyarihan magtakda ng foreign ownership at foreign equity participation. Hindi po ba na masesentro dito ang mga naglalabi o nanunuhol ng mga dayuhang korporasyon o di kaya mga lokal na oligarchs para gawing pabor ang terms sa kanilang industriya?
But Committee on Constitutional Amendments Chairperson and Ako Bicol Party List Representative Alfredo Garbin Jr. argued that amendments must be made if situation requires it.
Hindi pwede sabihin natin na ito lang ang batas at isulat natin sa bato at hindi na pwede baguhin. And that's why babalik tayo doon sa definition ng legislation as provided for under the Constitution. It is the power to enact laws and also the power to alter or repeal them as the need arise.
The House of Representatives aims to pass the resolution before the adjournment of the session on June 4. Ray Pelayo, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
The Philippines posted 3,972 new cases of novel coronavirus disease for COVID-19, bringing the cumulative tally to 1,188,672. The Department of Health, or DOH, said that total recoveries rose to 1,120,452 after 4,659 more patients survived the disease. The death toll, however, reached 20,019 with 36 new fatalities. Meanwhile, the country's number of active cases is at 48,201. Of this, 92.7% are mild, 2.1% are asymptomatic, 1.42% are moderate, 2.1% are severe, and 1.6% are in critical condition. The agency noted in its report that 10 testing laboratories failed to submit their data on time. The Department of Public Works and Highways builds more COVID-19 modular hospitals across the country despite the decreasing bed occupancy rate. Asher Kadapan Jr. details why live. Asher, go ahead.
Diego, the government is making sure that the country is ready for another possible surge of COVID-19 cases. With this, the Department of Public Works and Highways is constructing more modular facilities within hospital compounds. A total of 300 additional rooms and modular hospitals being built in different cities across Metro Manila are targeted to be fully operational by next month. This despite the improvement in the utilization of COVID-19 facilities in the National Capital Region, where the occupancy rate is decreasing. DPWH Secretary Mark Villar explains that other regions in the country are experiencing an increasing number of patients infected by the deadly disease. This is also why the agency is set to build more modular facilities outside the capital region.
Dahil tumaas ang cases sa NCR, nakatutok kami sa NCR. Pero ngayon po, may naka-allocate din sa labas ng NCR dahil tumataas din yung cases na nakikita namin sa CAR, sa Region 3, Region 2. So sa our Greater Metro Manila, nagkakaroon na rin ng increase.
Aside from the newly built modular facility in Batangas City that opened on April 30, the DPWH targets to start the construction of such facility in Davao City, Zamboanga City, and Iloilo City. Villar further explains that they are ready to open more modular hospitals in other regions. Modular hospitals are capable of admitting patients with moderate to severe COVID-19 infections, while some also have dedicated rooms for those who may require intensive care unit or ICU. Diego?
Thank you, Asher Kadapan Jr., for those updates.
In other news, the Commission on Higher Education, or CHED, clarified that conducting full face-to-face classes remains a possibility depending on the COVID-19 situation in the country. Dante Amento tells us why.
Commission on Higher Education, or CHED, Chairperson Prospero de Vera III denied that the traditional face-to-face learning may no longer be applicable at the higher education level. In fact, from January of this year, more than 60 schools were allowed to have limited face-to-face classes, particularly those offering allied health and medical courses. And if the COVID-19 situation would get better, CHED will recommend additional courses to conduct physical classes.
Now, if this works in medical and allied health, if the data on the ground says the students are not getting infected, I will now go to the President and recommend the next batch. Engineering, information technology, maritime programs, industrial tech. If the evidence on the ground says so, we have to do evidence-based decision-making.
Should face-to-face classes would be allowed to resume, De Vera said there is a need to retrofit schools such as the cafeteria, library, and others to assure minimum health standards will still be observed. Campuses should also have directional signages, good air ventilation, and hand washing becomes a practice to all the students.
Eventually, if we achieve herd immunity, vaccinated na 70%, okay, then we will allow the schools to slowly bring back the students. But it will not be anymore in the old traditional type. That is what I meant. We have to retrofit the schools.
Dante Amento, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
Meanwhile, the Department of Education, or DepEd, said that in-person graduation and other end-of-school year rites in basic education are still banned. Under DepEd Memorandum Number 027 Series of 2021, schools and community learning centers, or CLC, are not allowed to conduct any face-to-face ceremony to ensure the safety and protection of students, teachers, parents, and other personnel amid the pandemic. Schools, however, can choose whether whether to forego the said activity or conduct the rites online. From July 12 to 16, 2021, schools and community learning centers are given the discretion to select the date for holding this year's graduation rites. For private schools, they shall be guided by their approved or revised school calendars.
Several government agencies oppose some provisions in a bill that seeks to give more teeth to the 19-year-old dangerous drugs law. Arlene Delgado will tell us why.
The Commission on Human Rights has expressed concern on some provisions of House Bill 7814, which seeks to amend Republic Act 9165 or the Comprehensive Dangerous Drugs Act of 2002. During the Senate Committee on Public Order and Dangerous Drugs hearing on the measure, the Commission opposed to the reimposition of death penalty and allowing the alleged presumption of guilt for drug suspects. Section 11 of the bill says any person found possessing any dangerous drug during a party, social gathering, or meeting shall suffer the penalty of life imprisonment to death, while one of the provisions that allow legal presumptions is Section 3, which states that unless proven otherwise, any person found or is present within the place of sale or distribution of dangerous drugs is presumed to have been involved in the illegal activity. The CHR believes it contravenes the basic universal right of presumption of innocence until proven guilty.
Unfortunately for the innocent bystander, he or she may presume to have committed an unlawful act just because he was at the wrong place at the wrong time. Presumption of guilt and the reintroduction of the death penalty have no place in human rights-based approaches to drug control.
The Commission adds they were not consulted during the congressional hearings on the bill. The House of Representatives passed the measure on third and final reading last March, with 188 lawmakers voted in favor, while 11 voted against and 9 abstained. But the committee's chairperson and former PNP chief Ronald De La Rosa remained firm on his stand to support death penalty for high-level drug traffickers.
I really care for life. Ako, gabi-gabi, kung pwede lang oras-oras nagdadasal ako kay Lord na sana Lord walang tao masasaktan sa lahat ng ginagawang police operations namin. Pero in order to save yung mga innocent lives na magiging biktima nitong droga, sana naman itong buhay ng mga drug lord ito na wala nang ginawa kundi maninira ng buhay, dapat naman sana mabigyan ng death penalty.
The Department of Justice is also against the death penalty provision. However, it contradicted the CHR stand that the bill allows presumption of guilt.
The presumption is only prima facie evidence, which means the evidence is as good and sufficient in its face and may be rebutted or contradicted.
But the National Bureau of Investigation believes it would only result in reverse trial, wherein instead of the government proving the guilt of the accused, it will be the accused proving his innocence. Meanwhile, the Philippine Drug Enforcement Agency opposed the provision that imposes imprisonment from 6 months to 6 years and fines of up to 50,000 pesos on persons who will be found positive of illegal drug use but not a drug dependent.
The proposed penalty of imprisonment is too severe and could worsen the condition of the concerned individual. Such punishment is unnecessary considering that such condition may be addressed with proper interventions.
De La Rosa says the bill will be referred to a technical working group to further discuss the proposed measure. Hardin Delgado, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
The Department of Trade and Industry rolls out a safety seal certification for business establishments in Valenzuela City. Dante Amento will tell us why.
3 business establishments in Valenzuela City were granted a safety seal certification for strictly complying with the minimum public health standards set by the government. Under the Joint Memorandum Circular 21-01 Series of 2021, the safety seal shall apply to all private business establishments, selected public places, and government offices.
We are really launching itong safety seal para ho talaga mabigyan ng gabay yung mga consumers na ang lugar na may safety seal ay following minimum health protocol standards. Ito po isang paraan para ma-encourage at tumaas naman ang business at consumer confidence na yung lugar na pupuntahan nila ay safe.
The seal shall be displayed conspicuously at all entrance points according to prescribed dimensions and can be obtained at no cost to the establishment.
Technically, hindi po siya requirement, but it would be helpful to the business na ano yan, parang seal of good housekeeping. Parang seal yan na it can attract more customers dahil safe sa lugar nila. Yung mga hindi pa na-inspect, they're open to operate. Pero eventually dahil kailangan silang mag-apply at magpa-inspect para malagyan din ng safety seal.
The safety seal shall be valid for 6 months from the date of issuance, except for those issued to tourism enterprises, which shall be valid for 1 year. It shall be renewable subject to continued compliance with the eligibility requirements, but may also be revoked or reinstated.
Meron pong surprise inspections na pwedeng gawin ng mga LGU. So within that 6 months, people may complain at pwede pong ma-revoke yung safety seal, and then meron pong proseso for reinstatement. Kung hindi po magko-comply yung negosyo, pwede pong i-suspend yung business permit ng local government unit.
The City Hall of Valenzuela was also given a safety seal certification. The safety seal can be processed through online application or by visit. For application, business establishment applicant must download the checklist, perform a self-assessment, and contact the issuing authority for conduct of inspection. If the business establishment is found to be compliant, the issuing authority will inform the establishment of how the seal will be given. Dante Amento, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
A couple in India books out an entire flight to hold their wedding mid-air in an attempt to escape the restrictions for COVID-19. Nerissa Dando will tell us the details live. Yes, Nerissa, go ahead.
Good evening, William. A video footage posted on social media has gone viral, which shows a couple holding their wedding mid-flight in a booked-out aircraft of SpiceJet Airlines. The jet was reportedly packed with at least 170 guests who celebrated the couple's big day during the flight. The wedding footage has become a controversy and subject of criticism, especially since the country continuously fights a tough battle against the second wave of COVID-19. The state of Tamil Nadu, from where the flight originated, has also recently imposed stricter restrictions, with wedding guests limited to only 50 individuals, which the couple and their guests have clearly violated. The Aviation Authority of India, the Directorate General of Civil Aviation, or DCGA, has since launched a formal investigation of the case. The aviation has taken action both against the guests and the staff present on the flight. A spokesperson from the SpiceJet airline told the Indian Express that the travel agent originally booked the trip for a post-wedding joyride and that the airlines were completely unaware of the wedding mid-flight. The SpiceJet Airlines have been advised to lodge a formal complaint against the guest. And the on-flight staff have now been suspended for the super spreader event. William?
Yes, thank you, Nerissa Dando, reporting live from Japan. And around 30,000 people living on the streets in Spain will be receiving the COVID-19 vaccination. Marvi Delfin reports live. Yes, Marvi, go ahead.
William, a coronavirus vaccination program for the homeless has begun in Spain, with around 30,000 people living in the streets to receive the jab. Caretakers and non-government organizations have demanded to consider the homeless as a high-risk group to hasten their immunization. According to Dr. Maria Fernandez, Vice President of the Spanish Society of Community and Family Health, this is an essential step, as the homeless people have the right to health care and are one of the most exposed to the COVID-19 virus. Additionally, they have limited access to protective equipment and hygiene, such as face masks and alcohol. Around 300 residents of San Isidro Center, one of the biggest homeless shelters in the said country, have been finally immunized. Meanwhile, Spain has fully vaccinated more than 8 million of its population. William?
Yes, thank you, Marvi Delfin, reporting live from Perth, Australia.
Google's entry into health diagnostics worries health experts because of the tech giant's new application. Megan Dog reports why.
Last Tuesday, May 18, in a U.S. technology conference called Google I/O, Google's Chief Health Officer Karen DeSalvo announced and showcased their newly created Dermatology Assist tool, which uses artificial intelligence to help people identify concerns about their skin.
At Google, we want everyone to have the highest quality care.
Google revealed that they receive billions of queries each year related to derm-related conditions, and that there are not enough specialists to meet users' needs.
We also believe AI can assist you in your daily health. People come to Google Search every day to ask questions about their health. For example, we see billions of queries each year related to dermatologic issues. There are not enough specialists to meet the need.
Google's AI-powered Dermatology Assist tool works by using 3 photos from different angles of the user's issue, either on their skin, hair, or nails, which then can be uploaded through their smartphone or computer. The user will then be asked basic questions by the tool. For example, their skin type, how long they have had the issue, and other symptoms. With the user's answers, it can help the tool narrow down the possibilities. The AI model will then analyze the information and give a list of possible matching dermatologic conditions in a matter of seconds. Then it gives relevant information that the user can research further and learn more. According to Google, this tool covers 288 conditions on a full range of skin types and tones, including 90% of the most commonly searched derm-related questions on Google. But doctors and health experts are worried about this tool, that it may lead to overdiagnosis or miss rare and complex skin conditions. Google states that the tool is not intended to provide a diagnosis nor be a substitute for medical advice, as many conditions require clinician review, in-person examination, or additional testing like a biopsy. Google plans to make it available to consumers on Google Search in European Union countries as early as the end of this year. Mavian Dog, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
And those are the reasons behind the news, May 25, 2021. I am Herlene Delgado.
Reasons we deliver to you as they unfold. I'm Angelo Castro III.
And because we need to know, we will always ask why. I am William Theo. We serve the people. We give glory to God.